Colonel Allen West is a Christian constitutional conservative. He's a combat veteran, the real deal. He is a former congressman. His military service includes serving during Operation Desert Storm, Operation Desert Shield. He was deployed to Kuwait, deployed to Iraq in 2003. He even served as a civilian advisor to the Afghanistan Army. He has a long list of decorations and awards. There's too many to name for this format, this program this evening. He is the former executive director for the National Center for Policy Analysis, and he's also an author of a book that is very timely, ladies and gentlemen. Hold Texas, Hold the Nation. And it's a great book, and if you have an opportunity, please pick up a copy. It's incredible, and it's so timely. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Colonel Allen West.
It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. I'm not going to belay the point because it's been a very long day for a lot of you. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you. How many folks here remember the movie Braveheart? Braveheart. Well, come on, all you women remember because he was wearing that kilt. He was showing his legs. There was a very important part of that movie, a real special vignette. And it was right after that first battle when the Sons of Scotland, with William Wallace's help, defeated the English at a place called Stirling Bridge. And afterwards, they all gathered at this great hall, and they were putting on all kind of awards and decorations. They knighted him, made him Sir William Wallace. And as soon as they did that, the Scots started fighting amongst themselves. Different clans were taking claim to being the rightful heir to be the King of Scotland, and another one would stand up and say, well, you're just a bastard. No, my family, my clan should be the rightful King of Scotland. Then all of a sudden they looked. And William Wallace and his men started walking out of the hall. And they stopped and they asked him a question. They said, Sir William, where are you going? He said, I'm going to fight the English. You all can stay here and argue over the scraps that they give you. But he knew who he had to be focused on. And Steve gave you a great bunch of statistics and everything, but the thing that is happening here in Texas is that we're fighting against each other. How many folks ever been in a circular firing squad? That's right, nobody, because everyone gets killed in a circular firing squad. Why would you throw a grenade inside your own tent? That's what's happening here in Texas. You know, as I was driving down from up there in Garland, Texas, I've been here for 5 years. My last duty station was Fort Hood, Texas. If you had told me when I was driving out of Texas to go back down south to Florida back in 2004 that I would be back here 2014, I would say, no, that's probably not going to happen. When you live your life, you should always do your plans in pencil, because God's got an eraser. And so I'm back here where I should be, because there's a fight happening here in the great state of Texas. And we need to understand who we should be fighting against. When Representative Robert Francis O'Rourke, don't call him Beto, whatever. His name is Bob, okay? Do not break down and call him by some made-up, marketed, commercialized name. His name is Bob. But when Bob was up there in New Hampshire just a couple of days ago, he said Texas is in play. That's the English that we should be fighting. Now, I'm a graduate of the University of Tennessee. If you all know about the Big Orange, our nickname is the Volunteers. And driving down here, I drove past that exit for a city called Crockett, a favorite son of Tennessee, a former one-term congressman who once said that may you all go to hell, I'm going to Texas when he lost his congressional election. And then getting off of I-45, I came through Huntsville, the home of another great Tennessean, a man who was once the governor of Tennessee, who defeated Santa Anna in 18 minutes, just down the road a little bit, at a place called San Jacinto. The first president of the Republic of Texas. Also, a senator from the great state of Texas, Sam Houston. See, all men from the South, Tennesseans, we kind of find our way here because there's a fight going on. And the problem is not so much about the statistics that Steve gave us, the problem is that so many people are moving into the great state of Texas because of the economic opportunities it provides. All of these corporations and businesses that are leaving failed blue states like California, like Illinois, like New York, like New Jersey, and they're coming here to take advantage of the greatness of Texas, the exceptionalism of Texas. But the problem is we don't teach them what makes Texas exceptional. We don't tell them what makes Texas great. See, when someone new moves into Texas, you should give them a welcome packet. That welcome packet should tell them why the Texas flag can fly at the same height as the American flag. The only state that can do that. We need to give them a welcome packet that has the pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. We need to take them to San Jacinto. We need to take them to Washington on the Brazos. We need to take them to San Antonio. And we need to tell them, when you come into our house, you respect our house, because our house is special, because we have always produced fighting men and women. The problem is that when you don't tell them that, just the same, man, when you invite somebody in your house, you tell them the rules of your house, right? They break the rules, you tell them get the hell out, right? We're not telling folks the rules of Texas. We're not telling them the history. And so what you end up having is, how many folks remember that commandment that God told Lot and his family when they left Sodom and Gomorrah? Don't look back. How many people are coming here in Texas and they're looking back? Looking back to California. They're looking back to Illinois. They're looking back to New Jersey. They're looking back to New York. They're looking back to Mexico and Guatemala and everywhere else. They're not looking into us here in Texas. That's what happens when we don't tell that story. We need to tell people, welcome to Texas. Why are you here? Challenge people. Don't back down. One of the things that we know as soldiers, you never win on defense. You show me a battle that has ever been won on defense, and I will tell you, it has never happened. Because even if you're successful in a defense, you still must do what? You must go on offense to drive the enemy from the field. If you look at ancient military history, the pursuit phase was always the most dangerous phase in the battle. Why? Because the aggressor always chased the people that were trying to get away. That's what we got to do here in Texas. And even as Republicans here in the great state of Texas, you need to know the history of the Republican Party. The Republican Party founded in 1854 for one reason, so that people like me can stand here before you all today. But we don't tell people that. So now, instead of physical bondage, we have the other side that were really the ones that created slavery. Now they want economic bondage. July the 4th of 1867, this Republican Party of Texas was established. Not by people that look like you, sir, but people that look like those guys over there. People that look like Tommy. 150 blacks and 20 whites established the Republican Party of Texas on that day. And what was going on at the exact same time? Well, that other party, who created the first domestic terrorist group, the Ku Klux Klan, they were terrorizing blacks and Republicans here in the state of Texas. They were developing slave codes and black codes. They were instituting Jim Crow here in the state of Texas. 2 out of the 3 first chairmen of the Republican Party of Texas look like me. How many of you all know that? How many of you all are sharing that? Norris Wright Cooney was the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas from 1884 to 1898. And why is it that that message is not going into these inner cities? Because it's great that we are kicking butt out here in the rural areas. But we need to kick butt along the I-35 corridor. We need to kick butt on either end of I-45, Dallas and Houston, Harris County. We need to be kicking butt out there in El Paso. We've got to take this message of who we are, what we stand for. We've got to remind people of what Texas is all about what this Republican Party is all about. We're not about collective subjugation of individuals. We're about individual sovereignty. And what America has always been about, when you read our founding documents, it is about the sovereignty of the individual above the institution of government. That's why when you look at all these veterans that are here, when I look at these men who served in World War II, just the same as your dad, my dad served in World War II, and think about it. My dad served in World War II at a time when this country did not afford him all the rights and privileges it did others. But my dad was proud to wear that uniform. So proud that at 15 he told me, he gave me this challenge to be the first officer out of our family. And on 31 July 1982, he stood at my right shoulder, and my mom stood at my left shoulder. And they pinned second lieutenant bars on their middle son. Those are stories we should tell. Instead of listening to the people that want to come out and say, well, we're just going to give you the crumbs. We're going to give you reparations. What the hell do I need reparations for? I'm not a slave in my mind. But then actually when you think about it, slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, poll, taxes, literacy tests, lynchings, all of these things, maybe the Democrats should be the ones paying reparations because they created all that crap in the first place. But we need to tell them that. When you think about the greatness of America, you think about families. See, when I was born in 1961, a two-parent household in the black community was between 75 and 77%. Thanks to a person from Texas who was a president, Lyndon Baines Johnson, and the Great Society programs, the inner cities now are economic plantations. Only 24% of black children have two parents in the household. See, that's what you need to tell people. You need to tell people, why don't you want to be on this side of the line? Remember that line in the sand that William Barrett Travis drew? But you got to explain what's on this side of the line, as opposed to that side of the line. Why do you think it is that the other side wants to tear down all of these quote-unquote Confederate symbols and statues and whatever? Because they don't want us to know their history. They don't want us to know what they've done. Isn't it amazing when you get on I-45 and you drive through Houston and you get on the south side of Houston and you look over there, if you're going south, you look to the right, to the west, and you see this incredible glass enclosed building. And at the top of it says Planned Parenthood. How in the Sam Hill it is in the United States of America, in the great state of Texas, a place where the Republican Party was founded by blacks, that you have a building. And remember, the Republican Party was established in Houston, Texas. A building that is the vision of a white supremacist, a racist, a person that spoke at Klan rallies, a person that referred to you and me as undesirables and weeds, and we give them almost $500 million of U.S. taxpayer money. How is it that happens? It's very simple, because we're not professing it. And we're not telling it. But yet they can go up into Dallas County, and tear down the statue of Robert E. Lee, who was not a white supremacist or racist or a Klan member. As a matter of fact, Robert E. Lee allowed a black man to go and attend church services in his church. And when people tried to drive him out, Robert E. Lee went up and knelt down beside him and took communion with him. But if we don't tell those stories, nobody knows. See, our challenge is to say why Texas is great. If not, then the other side, the English, the progressive socialists, don't call them Democrats, they're socialists. They want to redistribute wealth. They want to nationalize economic production. How is it that you could have someone running to be president of the United States of America from Texas that signs on to a Green New Deal that says to the state of Texas, the oil and gas industry in 10 years needs to go away? But Bob said Texas is in play. It's time for y'all to make a stand. It's time for you guys to start professing what it is great about being here in the Lone Star State. You know, when I was in Kandahar, Afghanistan, I saw something that just absolutely made me laugh my tail off. Kandahar, Afghanistan, I saw a little Afghan boy running around with a Dallas Cowboy t-shirt. I was like, how did that go? Ain't freedom great? But that should tell you something. Even in Kandahar, Afghanistan, people know the swagger. People know that symbol, that Lone Star. Remember, wise men, they once followed a star to find our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And there's a reason why people are following the star to come here. But if we're not singing and praising this great state, then they will follow it here, but turn back and look elsewhere. Let me close by reading you something from this book. On page 173. Don't worry, Tommy, I borrowed it. I'm going to give it back. There, February 24th, 1836. To the people of Texas and all Americans in the world, fellow citizens and compatriots, I am besieged by 1,000 or more of the Mexicans under Santa Anna. I have sustained a continual bombardment and cannonade for 24 hours and have not lost a man. The enemy has demanded a surrender at discretion, otherwise the garrison are to be put to the sword if the fort is taken. I have answered the demand with a cannon shot. Our flag still waves proudly from the walls. I shall never surrender or retreat. Then I call on you in the name of liberty, of patriotism, and everything dear to the American character to come to our aid with all dispatch. The enemy is receiving reinforcements daily and will no doubt increase to 3,000 or 4,000 in 4 or 5 days if this call is neglected. I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible and die like a soldier who never forgets what is due to his own honor and that of his country. Victory or death. Lieutenant Colonel William Barrett Travis, Commandant. The person that wrote that letter was 26 years of age, a millennial. Why don't we tell some of these skinny jean wearing, stressed out because of their cell phone is losing their battery, about what a Texas millennial did? Because when you set foot on Rocky Top at the University of Tennessee, you understand, you learn why we earned that nickname, volunteers. Why do we go into the Hispanic community and tell them the story about Juan Seguin, who took this letter and delivered it to Santa Cruz? Why don't we tell them that now is an Alamo moment? Because I don't think Bob O'Rourke would have stood there for 13 days. I think that rascal would have put on his dress and tried to play his bass guitar and tuck tail and rain. You laugh, but think about it. 26-year-old that wrote this letter, or a dress-wearing punk rock band bass guitar player? Choice is easy to make. But if you're not telling people that incredible delineation and distinction, then people will make the popular choice instead of making the hard choice. Leave out of here today. Go out those doors and fight the English. Don't fight each other. Stand with your brothers and sisters that are in the I-35 corridor. Stand with your brothers and sisters on either side of I-45 or out there in El Paso. Lock your shields like the great old Spartans used to do. As a matter of fact, think about this. When the Spartans stood in the hot gates of Thermopylae, that little narrow pass in 480 BC, and the tyranny of Xerxes came up to them and said, lay down your weapons. Leonidas, the king of the Spartans, replied in 2 words in Greek. Those words, molon, lale. Those words were translated and spoken in 1835 in October at a place called Gonzales. Because molon, lale means come and take. You tell people right now that you're willing to make the stand. They got to come and take it because you ain't giving it up. God bless you all. Thank you.
Truly,